Good afternoon. This is a City Commission work session for the City of Largo. Today is Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we'll get started. If you have a cell phone, please turn it to silent or off so that we don't have any interruptions. We have two presentations today. First one is on our Largo homeless services.
Good afternoon, everyone. As the executive sponsor of our interdepartmental homeless outreach team, I'm pleased to be here today with our leads from Community Development, Earl Woodard, our housing manager, and Lieutenant Dalsey from the police department, and we're going to provide you with a review of our homeless outreach program. As we'll cover later today, we enhanced this service through the use of ARPA funds in 2023, and as those funds are now coming to an end, we conducted an evaluation of the program's performance. In addition to sharing that evaluation with you today, it will also be transmitted to the federal government as part of our ARPA grant closeout. So for our agenda, go ahead. For our agenda, we'll do the quick review of the program. We'll talk about program outcomes and review some of the data that we've experienced. We'll go over some brief success stories, although there are many more than we could cover. And then we'll seek direction from the City Commission on the future of the program. Thank you. So this program originally started in 2019. We allocated one police officer position, and we had a contractual homeless outreach specialist from a local nonprofit. Unfortunately, that model wasn't very successful. The nonprofit had regular turnover in the position, so it was vacant a lot, and we weren't having good continuity of service. So when the ARPA funding became available, we did look at doing some program enhancements, and we decided to bring the homeless outreach position as a city staff member. So that is now funded out of the city's general fund. And then through the ARPA program, we added a second police officer position, so we had better shift coverage throughout each day. And then we also did an RFP and executed a contract with the Homeless Empowerment Program for shelter beds and wraparound case management and rehousing services. Where the program stands today, the funding for the second police officer has sunset as of 9/30. Those ARPA funds have been spent, and then we're working on spending the rest of the ARPA funds through the Homeless Empowerment Program contract, which is set to expire in August of the current year. Okay, so some key program goals when we set out initially is that we wanted to address those repeat calls for service. We were seeing really high call volumes in the police department, high requests to the commission or complaints to the commission regarding the presence of homeless in our community. We are also having a lot of impacts to our businesses. Street homelessness is not always the cleanest situation to have outside your business, so our businesses were communicating very strong impacts to their business. And then we wanted to reduce the revolving door, meaning we wanted to connect our street homeless with services to address their mental health and substance abuse issues and all the other barriers around getting permanent housing. So those were the key program goals in 2019 when we set out. We'll go over all of the data, but we are really excited to share that this program has not gone unnoticed and its success. In 2024, the program won the Community Policing Program of the Year from both the Tampa Bay Area Police Chiefs Association and the U.S. Attorney General Distinguished Service Award. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to the partners here, and we'll go over more details about the program.
Okay, good afternoon. So the program essentially has several different types of team member that play a pivotal role in our homeless program. So the first one is our homeless outreach police officer. We currently have one. As the assistant city manager said, we used to have two. The ARPA funding did sunset, and we didn't add that FTE to last year's fiscal year budget, right? So that out officer is basically tasked with connecting with street homeless. And then they're essentially the tentacles to the octopus, and they make the contacts, and then they bring that person's information back to our homeless outreach specialist, which is Todd Nutbrown right here. He then takes their information, he assesses what they need, if they have some dependency issues, if they have housing issues, if they have whatever type of issues they have, he diagnoses that, figures out what best program to place them in, puts them either in that program or puts them on a wait list for that program, depending on what he has available. He also gets about 70 calls a day. I couldn't even tell you the exact number. He probably can, on people that are making contact with him because city staff and our regular patrol officers are acting as our assistant homeless officers. If they have contact with our homeless out there, they're giving out business cards. They're making referrals in our RMS system that get back to Todd to make sure they make contact with those individuals. There's also some other housing team members like Jody White, who was Todd's backup with the HMIS, which is the homeless information system, basically, that keeps track of what program these folks are in and what their needs are. And then Arrow, of course, is a key role in our whole program in terms of keeping track of all of the funding and finding funding, and then acts as a backup too when sometimes we're unavailable. They come in and look for her. So it's a really great team effort, and everybody listed up there has a pivotal role in our program. The next slide here is kind of our workflow. And again, this can go back and forth and upside down and sideways depending on what the needs of the specific client is that we make contact with. So the first box there is the homeless police officer, the outreach officer, the regular patrol officer that makes contact with a homeless individual, finds out what's going on with them. How were they called there? Is this an enforcement action because they're trespassing, they committed theft, what have you? And again, these can be interchangeable or they can be both, depending on what happens, right? We could be trespassing someone and we could also be giving them, referrals to services and getting with Todd, and he can actually respond to the scene. And we might be able to divert from a criminal action by getting them into shelter and realizing that that's the best thing. They won't be trespassing tomorrow if we find them shelter today, right? So then we have the repeat calls for service, keeping in mind, I know we've talked several times about this program. We can take 16 to 17 contacts in order for someone to trust us, to be able to get that we know that, hey, we are getting you into a program that's going to help you, that's going to get you in a better position. And so it can go back and forth. The revolving cycle can go through quite a many times. Rehab, drug and substance abuse treatment programs, mental health treatment, all of that kind of stuff can be before they get into a shelter program. And Todd makes sure that happens so that it's seamless. They don't go back to the street in between. So that's kind of a workflow. And again, it can go back and forth, and we can start over again if they fail out of the program, and then we make contact with the street again, and then the cycle repeats. So the biggest thing that I think we want to portray is homelessness is a community issue, right? It involves our homeowners, it involves our business owners, it involves city staff, it involves the homeless themselves, it involves our police officers, our park staff, it involves everyone that works and lives in our community. So a couple of the things that we need to keep track of is that we started a couple of programs like getting the word out about trespass warning affidavits. If you owned a business and you were tired of some of the trash buildup and some of the folks that were camping on your property, we can get a trespass authorization, which allows the police officer to make contact with those folks, trespass from their property, maybe have them help clean up their property. And then we have signs, stickers, and all that kind of stuff to put the word out there that this is not a place that welcomes those folks to hang out on their property. We have an abatement team that involves almost every section of the city, to include the police department, the fire department, public works, solid waste. It involves one email now. One email is written to nuisanceabatement@largo.com, and everyone that's in that group gets that email. And it's amazing to see how fast the city departments respond to whose job it is, where that mess is located, who can clean it up, what the best plan of action is to accomplish that, and it's usually handled within a week or a couple of hours, really. So again, it's a community issue. It takes everyone working together. Residents have our information. There's an email of homeless outreach at largo.com where we get referrals from the community. Hey, I saw this person on this corner. I've seen them for 2 days in a row. Can somebody stop out with them? And that's happens routinely. Okay, we can do the next one. Todd,
So it's important to understand what a high utilizer is, and this information comes from the PDs. So in outreach we call it touches, but making contact with somebody that's unhoused in your community. what's important with this is we can see, if somebody's been across the board, in different parts of the city, we can see that, is it a longitudinal issue? Is this keep going on? Are they housed, they disappear and they come back? We can see all of these things. But the high utilizer are the people that we kind of focus on. A high utilizer is usually 3 times in a year we have a contact, but mostly what we really focus on in our meetings is 3 contacts in a month. At least 3 contacts in a month, that's a high utilizer. That's taking up services, that's taking up time and energy of the officers. So my job is, when we get to these meetings, we analyze who these high utilizers are, and we start pecking away at those individuals and trying to work with them and trying to get them to embrace on what we're trying to sell. We're trying to sell an opportunity for a new lease on life. And whatever that is, we can try to work with them. So it's very important that we do this. If you look at the statistics here, the high utilizers in orange, it seems like a small number, but those people are still clogging up our system, clogging up the officers' time and energy compared to the number of calls we get. My phone is an inbound, sometimes a nightmare, but it's a lot of calls. It's a lot of calls for service, help. And what an interesting part, and I've really noticed it in this community because I've worked in a few communities across North America, but this one in particular, is the number of prevention work I'm doing. There's a lot of folks becoming newly unhoused. Maybe they've been middle class their whole life, never been unhoused before, and now all of a sudden they found themselves in a situation where they're unhoused, and maybe even further along in age. I'm dealing with a lot of those folks to try to prevent them from getting on the streets and getting them an opportunity, so we don't have vulnerable folks all over our community. So that's been a real part of it. It's a unique aspect, not only here, but a unique aspect that I'm seeing in this city is a lot of the preventative work. It's not just being out in the streets and helping somebody, as you saw in the picture, in an encampment. It's a lot of folks that, they don't have the ability to function in a vulnerable environment because they just haven't been in that environment before. So that's taken up a lot of our time. So that's a little bit of a diverse difference that we're finding.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you say a high utilizer, you say that's like 3 times in a week? That's a high utilizer?
Well, that'd be a really high
That would be
utilizer.
really high?
Yeah.
All right, the question, you get a call for service, which is your green line right here. Do you spend time in the trenches with these people, mano a mano, trying to work it out? Or is this a call you get that you refer to somebody else?
There's no other referrals. So I'm the gateway to the referrals. But before I know where they can go. So an example would be we'd have a client, say on Overton. He has trouble with substance abuse.
Okay.
If they're not ready to go into a program like HEP, Homeless Empowerment Program, because they're struggling with that addiction, maybe they need a detox first. So I will get them to the detox, work with them, and then once they're done the detox program, I'll pick them up and take them over to HEP. So it's
Really?
not a one-stop shop.
You are physically in the trenches then?
Yeah, that's outreach, yeah. Yeah, I'm out there.
Wow.
Where's
Okay.
the tan?
Follow up? Yes. Do you have an estimate of how much of this is unduplicated calls? Like how many people this is serving? I gotta imagine those are calls from, if it's in the forward slide, then we'll get to it, but.
We do. I don't have that offhand for the large blue blocks, but the high utilizers has been about 50 to 80 a year that those calls make up. So of the 500 and something calls there, it has gone down over time how many people that is, as that it accounts for as well. So the calls are going down and the number of people in that category are going down as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
So in their monthly, we have a monthly homeless outreach meeting, and our crime analyst puts together a report, and on that report, every high utilizer with 3 more contacts in that month is listed in that report. Homeless outreach officers discuss these folks with Todd, and Arrow and Jody take part in it too, and we discuss, okay, what does this person need? Where they normally hang out? All that kind of stuff. So the biggest thing for this slide that I want you guys to understand is when we started this program in 2022, we had about 448 high utilizers. It really got kicked off in 2023, and you'll see a huge spike in that high utilizer number. That was because we were concentrating on our high utilizers. These are the folks that were using up and eating up our resources that we wanted off the street, right? You see in 2024, right, the number starts to go down. Well, we're still doing the same work that we're doing. There's just less and less of these high utilizers out there. You get into 2025, you're down another almost 200 people because those folks are now off the street. So that's what I want, the commission to understand is those numbers are going down because of our efforts, right? They spike because of our efforts, but they're going down because of our efforts. That makes sense.
So clarify, the orange is calls or people?
Those are calls. So
Calls,
that's
okay.
the amount of calls that come
Okay.
from high utilizers. So a very few people generating a lot of calls.
I figured. I
Those are
just
the
wanted to
ones
make
that we, yeah.
So
try and
every
limit.
call, we have a stamp.
Yeah.
That it's 2H. It's a homeless stamp. That's the only way our system can track that. So the call itself and the person is stamped, and then that's how our crime analyst keeps track of that.
What's the dividing line between the high I mean, this is all calls, what you're seeing here. Where's the line between, here's the high utilizer versus, just the green bar?
So the orange here represents anyone within that year that had 3 or more contacts with law enforcement, 3 or
Okay.
more calls. So that number has diminished over time of how many of the calls are coming from those ones that have multiple touches with law enforcement.
Just as long as Pinellas County didn't do what Tampa did when the Republican convention was there. You know what they did over there?
Yeah.
When the Republican convention was in Tampa?
Yeah, I was working for the city of Tampa.
Yeah,
as our
well,
homeless
the
outreach.
city commission voted to give the homeless people one-way bus tickets to Pinellas County. That happened because one of the lawyers for the Tampa City Council, he calls me up, he says, you need to play this. And he says, it's the commission meeting, and he says, this is the time, listen to what they did. And I said, are you kidding me? No, they did. And they gave them the tickets. Oh, joy. We don't do that.
I don't.
We do not. So this screen, this slide shows a little bit about what area of the city that we have the most contacts. This is from Todd's data, not from the law enforcement side of things. So, but it is broken up in the same sectors of the city that the Largo Police Department uses. So the east side is at anything from Belcher Road east, west is Seminole Boulevard west, and then central is between Seminole Boulevard and Belcher Road. Anecdotally, we've heard from both civilian and law enforcement street outreach that really the folks they see in West and Central are people that lived in Largo a long time. Residents of Largo, it's more transient on the east side as people are migrating between different jurisdictions and so forth. But really, a lot of the folks in those two areas are longer term residents here.
What do you do with the ones that have the grocery cart filled to overflowing and they don't want to give it up and you want to put them somewhere? What do you do with that?
Well, it depends which program. So some programs have some storage, extra storage. So Safe Harbor has an extra storage unit for people's stuff and it's all tagged. Other ones we may have to downsize because, HEP doesn't have as much of the storage in the area. So you have to get it kind of down and work with them and wean it. I've sat on the side of the road and said, yep, no, what about this? You kind of work through it. It just depends on the individual. Some people, you're right, they have maybe they'd say a hoarding, tendency. It's hard for them to let things go. So that's a barrier. If they can't let these things go, then maybe HEP isn't the spot. Maybe somewhere else is a spot.
What do you do with the ones that have a dog?
So what we do is we assist them in getting what you can get is called an emotional animal, social emotional animal. You can get it designated through a doctor's note. They get the doctor's note, and then Pinellas Hope has to let the animal come in.
They will take them with them.
So one, yeah. So that's the uniqueness of each program.
For sure. Todd was mentioning that his phone has a huge volume. We have been trying to track this just from his cell phone. We're still working with the phone company on getting this more regularly submitted, but we had the first 6 months of 2025 was over 5,500 calls in those 6 months for one person. So call and text volume is extremely high. It does relate to about 4 to 6 unique clients per day. But thinking each of those clients has different situations, different hurdles to overcome. He's got to navigate where's a good placement, trying to make sure he can get back to them. Do they still have cell service where they're at and so forth. So, and that's in addition to him going to actual intakes with clients and being out in the field with the officers and so forth. So his phone is constantly on the go. But so this also shows how much of his contact comes through the phone. So that is the main source. A lot of people living on our streets do have a cell phone. Some of them require to be on Wi-Fi to make calls and things like that, or charging. But a majority do have those. He does work with clients out in the field that don't. That poses its own interesting situation, especially when he's ready to place someone in a program and he has to go find them. A lot of times law enforcement helps on that too. If they know where they mainly stay, they'll go out and see if they can help find that individual. But predominantly phone calls, and then his street outreach actually out in the field as well. Just to paint a little bit of a picture about the clients that we've been serving. So again, this is from Todd's data on that side. So about 40% of our clients are 55 years or older. And we have about a 60-40 split male to female that we're seeing in our population. About 30% of his clients are chronically homeless, so they've been long time homeless. Only about 4% are veterans. There are a lot of veteran services out, so typically he can get them connected with those veteran services quickly when they come across somebody, but it is a very small percentage of our population on the street. Just over 20% have had a history of domestic violence or similar. And almost 60% self-report one or more, either physical or mental disability or both. So a large bunch of different needs that Todd's got to work with to overcome. In the data also, he finds out where they're currently staying when he starts an intake with a client. And so most of the clients are coming from places not meant for human habitation. It could be in their car, just sleeping outside, that kind of thing. About 20% are coming from either they exited a shelter, either timed out or rules broken, something like that, or an institutional setting, so a hospital, jail, treatment center, that kind of thing. But as Todd mentioned earlier, 36% of his clients are imminently being displaced from temporary or permanent living situations. And so we see this a lot too with our seniors on fixed income, and lot rents, for example, even in the mobile home parks, have gone up exponentially. And so even with a month's help and rent assistance, it won't bridge the gap longer term if they're on fixed income. So that is one of the things, navigating with family options. He works very closely with the senior services officer in the police department as well. Also with placements like in assisted living and things, if they really need to be placed in some place with some more care too. So
Can you jump back one slide again real quick?
sure thing.
The under 18, I can't tell what color. It's not 39%, is it?
No,
Yeah, it's 39%.
It is under 18.
55 plus, is that cool?
yeah, that's the 55 plus. The
Zero.
under 18 is
Yeah,
0%. Good
Okay,
question.
okay.
You threw me off there for a minute. Yep. Yeah, the
There's a
55
little
plus.
sliver right there that's.
Sorry about
I
that.
said, that's what I do
realize-
for a living, so
didn't
I was
realize
getting
the
ready
cover
to.
was-
I was gonna say, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Very, very few, yeah, very
There's
few.
plenty of programs for the.
I know,
for the-
I know, that's
Yeah.
one
Good-
of them, so.
Good question, because the color is very similar. Very
Okay,
good question.
thank you, appreciate
No
it.
problem. So this data shows where people are exiting from the street outreach program, so where Todd is placing them. So majority, over half, are placed in emergency shelter. That is the fundamental first step to get back in permanent housing most times for most clients. So that works on that stability, the employment, the healthcare access, and things like that. So it's fundamental to the street outreach program to have access to emergency shelter. You can also see, and Todd, you're welcome to jump in on this part too. I mean, we do have some placements direct into permanent housing. Maybe a family member takes them back, things like that, or they find a temporary spot to stay, or institutional, like our substance treatment centers and so forth.
When you start analyzing and trying to break down the barriers to housing, some folks aren't built for, say maybe somebody's on the spectrum and aren't built for a communal type living system with others, like say 16 other males. I have to analyze that and figure, okay, they're gonna have a struggle with success there. So what's another program that we can go into, or who's in your life? Who do you have as a connection here that maybe you can work with, and maybe they need help with their mortgage and you can help pay for their, so you do a lot of problem solving with the individuals. So that's kind of, a lot of that is finding, those community connections that they have, but they're not thinking it through as they're dealing with, maybe the crisis of not having housing. So it's kind of like the rationale to it for them sometimes.
And you'll see that the second highest is unknown, and that really is the nature of these types of services. Just it is difficult sometimes to stay in contact with someone if they lose their phone, if they venture off to a different area and so forth. So a lot of the unknowns a lot of times are people that have maybe called for services and he puts them on a list to get into shelter and they don't show up. And he doesn't hear from them again. So he doesn't know if they found a place to stay, if they moved on. They may call 3 months later as well, but he'll exit them out of his program at that point if he's lost contact with them. So that is the nature of that service. So this is kind of an overview of some of the programs that we do have in place already. So currently we have 3 contracts for homeless shelter services. We have our main contract with Homeless Empowerment Program, which has 20 reserve beds specifically for referrals only from Largo Street Outreach. We also, and that's funded through the American Rescue Plan Act funds that Meredith mentioned. We also provide some community development block grant funding, which is federal grant funding to Pinellas Hope. We do not have reserve beds there. They have once a week intake. Todd goes down, he gets a huge list every week, and then he tries to get as many in as he can. It does depend on how many openings they have, how many other jurisdictions are also bringing people that day to see how many he can get in, and also how many show up too. So
That's why I might look tired. It was this morning at 6 o'clock.
yes, he had intake.
That's the intake for
Pinellas
Pinellas Hope, so.
very early on Tuesday mornings. And the third one is West Care Turning Point. So this is a detox facility for individuals experiencing homelessness in St. Pete. And mainly those are coming from court-ordered detox programs. So they do track how many their last place of permanent residence was Largo. And so proportionately, there's been some funding going to there from Community Development Block Grant the last few years. But also the program, Todd and the officers have really developed a good network of other supporting partnerships in the area. For example, Operation PAR in Mid-County. As Todd mentioned, he has that workflow where if someone needs detox, it may be a 7-day detox, and he will try and reserve a bed at HEP so that they go right from one to the other and not back out on the street. Also working with our assisted living facilities. We do have a lot of people with pretty severe disabling conditions on the street. And so if they're willing to accept that too, that is another avenue he takes. And then Safe Harbor, the use of that has changed for us over time. If you recall years back with street outreach at first, no one would accept, that was kind of the last option that they wanted to go toward. Todd has found a unique way basically to get someone immediately off the street if he needs to, where at least they're in a protected place, food, shelter, water, and lets them know he's going to follow up and get them placed, let's say if it's Pinellas Hope's intake that following week. And so he's found that they're more accepting and agreeable to do that, to get themselves directly off the street, knowing that it's a transition to the next
I
program.
didn't know Pinellas Hope took them straight in. They used to not do, that's the one Catholic Charities operates, isn't it?
Only on Tuesday mornings.
Really?
Yeah, Tuesday mornings at 6:30,
So
quarter
it's
to
only
7.
one day a week, because it used to be, we used to give them all kinds of stuff, and I get the information from them, and they said, no, we just can't walk in here.
No, you still can't. You have to have a referral from a community
Okay.
or an organization. Yeah.
And the other one, that's Galtieri is a sheriff then.
Correct. Yes, sir. So I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper to
So
our
you
kind of
got 3 outlets or you got 4?
Pardon?
So you basically have 3 main shelters that you work with.
Yeah, I mean, and there's others if we have to get creative. Some people, what happens is maybe somebody's gone into a shelter, they've had a behavioral issue. And I can see it on HMIS, which is a database that I put everybody in. And once you see that on there, you see a red flag. Okay, they're not going to let that person back in because they had shenanigans at one time or another. So I have to look at others. So there's St. Vincent de Paul. We've always used
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
different ones. Some,
They're still at it.
but they're pretty busy. It's hard to get a bed sometimes. So you have to get creative.
Didn't need to interrupt you.
That's all right.
So I'll dive in a little bit more on
Like your
how our
questions.
program works with Homeless Empowerment Program. And we do have 3 members from HEP here today that are all part of our system of care with Homeless Empowerment Program. So as mentioned, they take referrals only from Todd. Basically, our law enforcement can refer as well, but they predominantly come through Todd to get placements into our 20 reserve beds. From the moment Todd meets with someone out on the street, he refers to it as a rehousing program, not as putting someone in shelter. And that is because we really want to set the tone that this is your first step toward getting in permanent housing. And so that carries forward with the staff at HEP. When someone comes in, they create a housing action plan in partnership with that client, and has routine check-ins with that client on their little steps they need to do to complete to really move themselves toward being successfully permanently housed.
What's your batting average?
Well, that's not something I really look at because I look at everything being a success. If somebody talks to me and didn't talk to me the day before, that's a step forward. So I look at the small things. It's not always getting rehoused right away. I may have to get them out of the program, and I have to put them in another program, I have to drive them to another detox and get them in another program.
Okay, well, everybody follows through. I mean, I know Pinellas Hope, if you go with them, they follow you all the way through. I mean, they'll ultimately, they'll put you in an apartment, all furnished, the whole bit.
Some do, yeah.
Some do. I don't know, HEP, do you do that also?
Yes.
So they do that, Galtieri does not.
They do have case managers. They do
do
work
they
on
now?
getting toward that.
Because
Yes.
I'm just curious about the amount of, I mean, what you're doing is the yeoman's job there. I mean, this is, I don't envy your position at all. But what's the ratio of people that when you're dealing with them, where you can actually say, well, we started out, but he had the grocery cart out in the street, and we got him off the drugs, we got him off the alcohol, and now he's got an apartment, he got a job, and everything is, where everybody's happy. What's the
I
percentage?
do have some data on that.
Okay.
She'll give you that.
Just a moment.
I'll
It's
shut
coming
up for a
along.
while.
So we do have the case manager, as part of our contract with Homeless Empowerment Program. We have one full-time case manager assigned to our 20 clients, and then our 20 beds. It does rotate as people move out. And then we have a part-time, our portion of their housing navigator position at HEP as well with it. So the case manager meets with them weekly. She also meets with Todd weekly. So they check in on how clients are doing, who's coming up to be, moved out soon. So he knows if there's a bed coming available. They have on-site workforce development. This is open to others, not just people that are experiencing homelessness. It's a great resource. They help with resume writing, interview skills, get people actually connected with jobs and so forth. They also have on-site medical, health, dental, that kind of thing, and they have different other counseling programs and so forth there to really help people get ready and back on their feet to get back out on their own. It's about a 90-day program, but really some people go faster than that or don't progress and leave before the 90 days. And some are progressing, but they need a little bit more time to get to those final steps. So it is not a hard 90 days. Todd and the case manager, Sandra, they have the ability to talk on each client. If someone is progressing, they can extend that time a little bit to try and get them permanently housed.
Just to give you guys an example, has any one of you had a root canal before? And had the pain and maybe it got abscessed and all that kind of stuff?
It's only a week. It's only been a week.
Well, imagine trying to do that and hold down a job and not having medical or dental insurance to get something like that taken care of. So they have dental chairs right there at HEP. So if you have something like that, they have pro bono dentists that take care of those issues. And now that person can go back in the workforce because they can actually chew again. It's those type of small things that make this program very, very valuable to us. Go ahead.
So the housing navigator works proactively to find landlords that will work with their clients and then actually works on helping them locate an apartment and move in. Helps with, there's some funding through the county for down payment or rent deposit and things like that. So they help them through that process. They also check back in for up to 12 months after. So if you're, check and see if they're staying on their feet or if they need a little bit more support along in that first 12 months to keep them housed. They've also had a lot of success since the program started with getting buy-in from clients and becoming roommates. As we know, rent costs are really high, and so it's really tricky when you're just getting on your feet financially to pay for that on your own. So that's been a really successful new option to get to increase our percentage of how many are getting permanently housed as well. So this is the data you're talking about. So in the first 2 years, this is looking at year 1 and 2, we're in year 3 now, they had 36% exit to permanent housing, but 52% exited to anywhere else other than homelessness. The continuum of care benchmark, which is based on national averages as well, has 30% exits to permanent housing from emergency shelter. I looked at the data since August. We've got a really solid team right now, and they're up to 65% exits to permanent housing. So the programs continue to build in success each year, and we're really in full swing at the current time.
When you're dealing with these people, for example, the dental, they actually get a full physical, full makeup. So how are they physically?
So, when we bring them in, they'll do some paperwork, you know, they'll fill out
Okay.
some stuff on a computer, name, date, and all that. But they also see the nurse. So the nurse does a physical the
Okay.
minute they're in the program.
Then the other half of my question is, what if you have a young lady in there that turns out she's pregnant? What do you do then?
They do, there's other programs throughout, I don't know.
We take pregnant clients.
Okay.
You do or don't?
We do.
Well, do you take them to, like, sending them to Planned Parenthood or taking them to a place where they can have the child?
Well, it depends on what the female wants. We would continue to help her while she's in our shelter, individual shelter. For her needs to be met, hopefully to get her housed before she has that child. So while she's there, we'll get her connected to medical services through our wellness team, nursing, dental, and then based on whatever it is she wants, and then medical insurance and what it'll cover, we'll help figure that out with her.
Okay, thank you. That wasn't a loaded question.
No, good question.
So out of our 20 beds, we have 4 female beds and 16 male, and this is really the makeup of the areas that they have available at that. We have discussed options for increasing the number of female beds because we have seen that there is a large proportion of our clients that are female. But unfortunately, it's been kind of constrained at this point for that. But Todd will look at Pinellas Hope or other options if there's none available at HEP at the time. As of the time of this PowerPoint, he had 16 clients on the wait list for HEP. He probably has 8 to 10 on any given week for Pinellas Hope that go in there as well. But interestingly enough, right now, out of the 8 and 8, there's 4 couples. So that's another thing he has to navigate is he doesn't want to bump them all the way down on the list. You know, he's got to keep them moving, but he really has to wait till he's got that male-female combo if they want to be placed together. The bed night usage, so we pay right now for HEP. It's based, we have pay for all of 365 days a year, but for 20 beds, and it's a bed night rate for each of those 20 beds. So we have about a 91% actual occupied bed rate for that. And really the only reason that it's not 100% on that, because there is a wait list and he fills them as soon as he finds out there's one available. But we don't have 7 days a week street outreach. So if someone exits on a weekend or a holiday, things like that, there's going to be a few nights. Also, as I mentioned, if he's got somebody that is next on his wait list to get into HEP and he can't get a hold of them right away, he tries to give them at least a few hours, maybe till the end of the day to hear back. Some of his clients are working, and so they have to wait till they get off, or they have to be on Wi-Fi calling and so forth. So he doesn't try and skip over them right away if he can give them a little time to respond. So I'm going to turn it back over to Lieutenant Dulski on a couple of success stories.
I know I've used a success story with a couple of you. This was probably one of our first times, or at least my first time, dealing with someone and his family that we truly made a difference with. So this individual I actually arrested for trespassing on the railroad tracks or making an encampment. It created such a mess. Individual is hooked on methamphetamine, very psychotic. You could barely understand what he was saying to you. Took him to jail for trespassing. I got a phone call from an attorney a couple days later. And I'm like, this is weird because he's been out of jail since the day after. I don't understand why you're calling me. And ended up being a family attorney. The only way his family from Nebraska could contact him was by tracing his arrest records throughout the country. Interestingly enough, this subject's in his early 30s. When I arrested him, I'm like, there is something weird about this fella. He's got good teeth. He's got good hair. He's not your typical homeless individual. Turns out he has a master's degree in engineering. Turns out he was a bridge inspector in Nebraska. Turns out he had late onset paranoid schizophrenia. And basically his life took a huge downturn after that. mother to his child took it upon herself after his family did what our ex parte order in Florida would be. In Nebraska, I'm not sure what that's called. Essentially, it's getting him mental health services against his will. She took his home, she took all of that kind of stuff in Nebraska. He drove his truck to Florida, and somehow that disappeared, and he ended up on the streets of Largo. It took us 8 months talking to this individual to gain his trust. It took us using our cell phones and calling his mother in front of him so that his mother could actually hear his voice and understand that he was actually alive. With that period of time, we finally gained enough trust that his parents came down and we arranged a meeting. They took him to lunch. They took him to go get his ID because they brought his birth certificate with them. And over a period of time, between that meeting and then a next time, he actually had done a couple of other crimes, and he had made some statements to us and his family that we were able to finally use the Florida ex parte order to get him into PEMS. At the time, now it's Elios. We have relationships with the medical directors there. They understood through our telling them who this individual was, his history, his education, all of that kind of stuff on what his issues were. They deemed a treatment program with him, got him antipsychotic meds. We went and visited him 2 weeks later. He gave all of us hugs, and he didn't understand what he was doing with his life because he actually was conscious enough to understand what had happened to him at that point. He voluntarily checked himself in for longer and then to a different treatment program that did mental health treatment, but also physical the dependency that he had on the drugs that he was taking, which was a lot. And a couple months after that, his family came and got him and took him back to Nebraska, took him back home, and we have not heard back from them saying that anything bad had happened. We got pictures of the sunset and stuff like that sent to us from the mother. I'm really happy the fact that we were actually able to bring him off the street. That was a huge success story. Means a lot to me that I was kind of personally involved with that case. And it just kind of shows how long these cases can take and how many contacts we have to have with these folks to get them off the street to trust us. And then just as a side note, this individual had 6 arrests, 3 trespass warnings, and a couple of other additional charges were like, open container and that kind of thing is other. This next individual is currently in our program, and he was the highest utilizer of city services to date, correct?
Yep.
That's all 4 years combined.
So that's all 4 years combined. 25 arrests, 36 trespass warnings, 12 other charges, and I can't even tell you how many hundreds of contacts that this individual the Largo Police Department has had, and that's
He didn't
only
get shot.
that's only Largo. We all know him by name. He was just a complete nuisance, for lack of a better word, drinking alcohol in the street corners. He was your typical one that everybody would call in from businesses, AutoZone, et cetera, going, I got a guy drinking his, earthquake or whatever behind my business. I need him gone. Over and over and over again. Same thing. We got him in treatment program. We brought him down to Manatee County. We brought him up to Pasco to several different facilities up there to try to get him off of the alcohol. We got him in the program once. He failed. We got him in the program and then he failed. And then recently we finally got him back in the program, and he's got a job and a full-time job at that, and he's doing phenomenal. So it's one of those things where this was a 4-year project with this guy. I can't even tell you how many times the officers have dealt with him and through. Go ahead, you want to jump in?
Well, also, in HEP is the program that he went to. He had deteriorated teeth, a lot of pain. Now he looks like a rock star. The guy's, looks amazing. His health is all back up. His kind of gets me, sorry.
I know I keep trying to call him by name. I'm like, I can't do that.
But like his whole outlook on life is positive.
You can just call him Michael.
Yeah, it's not even that. I get a little teary.
You get choice of two that works in there.
But his whole outlook on life is different. He sees things different. He has hopes where he didn't have hopes before. So I think that's the
You
difference
feel
for
better
me.
now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's the hopes,
And speaking of that, to conclude this part, I can't tell you how many times Todd gets text messages from people months later that say, "You gave me hope again. Thank you for changing my life. Thank you for getting me into that program." probably on a weekly basis, he gets one. I mean, one of them was even a year later. But they thought to remember, like, this person took that chance to get me off the street. So it's, I don't know how you quantify that in numbers, but it is a very important part that it is changing lives too.
Yeah, we really think that those success stories, like, that really kind of bring a personal element. We can look at all the statistics we want, but when you're talking about like true life and people, those stories are very important. So, all right. So here's why we need your help. So ARPA's ending. We lost our second street outreach police officer because of the ARPA funding, and then we didn't have any FTEs added to the city budget last year. That cut our ability to make contact with these folks in half. We have a new homeless officer, Tom Disney, who's doing an outstanding job. He starts every day at 6. He has a list of special watches that's longer than my arm of businesses that need him to go check and make sure that there's not a problem, along with making contact with folks that are out there. Especially, we all came to work today. I'm sure we threw a jacket on this morning. You know, these folks are out there in the cold weather. The cold weather shelters will open up after, I think it's 42 degrees. 40 degrees, but we all know it could be 41 and the cold weather shelters aren't open. So there's a lot of these folks that are out there that need our help, and our ARPA funding is ending. So our current officer ended as of the fiscal year, you know, the end of September. The program with HEP is lasting a little bit longer because there was an RFP process with that at the end of 22, and we didn't officially kick that program off until the summer of 23. So that's why this funding goes all the way to August? The end of August of 26, because that funding started, you know, in August of 23, if that makes sense, right? It's where the homeless officer started in October of 22. So that's why some of the end dates for the ARPA funding is a little bit different for you. So the 20 beds end in August of 2026. We just talked about our success stories and all of that kind of stuff, and so we're going to need to move on to other sources of funding. And Ms. Arrow.
I get the numbers part. So here is the outlook on our current funding levels. Again, it's a mix of the American Rescue Plan Act and Federal Community Development Block Grant funds for our two others. So we've got the one that's really the on-demand intake reserved for us, and the Pinellas Hope and West Care ones are available to us. We do not have reserved beds, and that Pinellas Hope is the once-a-week intake. So what we are seeking for today is direction on if the commission is supportive of looking to pursue continuing access for the homeless beds and case management. We are looking to see if we can use some of our federal community development block grant funds. We do have a public services cap. I won't get into all the calculations for that today, but we can't use our full big amount of CDBG for public services. It's a very small percentage. So we'd like to use that full percentage instead of for a variety of different types of services, really hone it in on just using it toward the homeless shelter bed and case management type services, because it is so critical to the overall program. We are proposing a general fund request for fiscal year 26-27, which is the budget is kicking off already to work on that, to really fill that gap, to really trying to maintain the 20 beds case management with the case management and our other connections to our shelter providers. We will be looking for grant opportunities along the way as well. And let me show you kind of what those amounts look like. So we do have a little bit of the one month gap for this year to get through the rest of the fiscal year. We are potentially looking at CDBG funds to fill that for that September month for that. Unfortunately, our program income has slowed down drastically in the last few years for our community development block grant as well. So we're still evaluating that to see if we can use that money. That would require an amendment to our action plan for CDBG, and then a contract amendment to add that extra month's funding in there. And then for 2027, we'd be looking at funding a few different agencies for making sure we still have that access to shelter beds and case management. The estimated total cost is between $260,000 to $350,000. And that is a range, including right now, we're spending about 302,000. So projecting that there will be some increase in cost for such. We are looking at estimating about 100,000 from CDBG, which the remainder then would come from general fund, unless we're able to find some other grants as well to help offset some of that general fund impact. So we are in the process of working with our budget procurement office to explore the different options for procurement for that process. But that's really, we understand that everything would go through the budget process, so there's not a final decision that needs to be made on funding levels or anything like that here tonight. We're really just looking for direction from you all, if you are supportive of us looking to continue the shelter bed and case management services to support our homeless outreach program. And with that, I will open up questions and discussions.
So these are ARPA funds. They're not the federal HHS street outreach grant money, is it? I know you're looking at me, you're looking at me, they know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, it's not through Health and Human
All right.
Services. No,
So
ARPA was through.
every year HHS puts out a street outreach grant, that's $300,000. Highly competitive, I don't know who, I'm trying to remember who has it in Pinellas, you might know. But somebody has it in Pinellas. But they put it out every year. And it's $300,000, believe it or not. So I just was checking to see if that was the source of funding. So, but you know, Todd, I'm sure in your past you worked probably under one of those grants or have seen it, and so they're highly competitive, but they do come out every year. So something we gotta look out for.
We did, definitely we'll check in to see if that.
This is literally the definition of the grant. If you had the grant in front of you, and say everything that you're doing is described in the grant. So I mean, it's like you already have it built.
We did have an opportunity the other week, and Merity was able to step in for us and try and help get that. We came in second out of the applicants that were received. So we appreciate her support and help for that for sure. And we definitely are hot on the pursuit trying to find other grant sources. So
That grant was a DCF grant, though.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, they're very hard to get. And once you get one, it's almost impossible to lose it. So you know that's next. So somebody has it, but also it would probably be me taking it away from them. But you know, options.
What other programs are currently funded or have been funded through the public services with CDBG?
So this year we have a small, like 10,000 going to Feeding Tampa Bay for food distribution through the Ridgecrest YMCA. We have funding going to West Care right now, Pinellas Hope, and then Seniors and Services, which is doing some like senior isolation outreach in our senior community. We do also fund homebuyer education and housing counseling, but we did convert that to only using our state housing funds for that this year. That used to be partially with CDBG as well. So I'd be looking at consolidating those down to really just using that money for addressing homelessness.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm kind of curious, just from, I mean, first of all, Todd and everybody, you guys are doing God's work. But from the charging per bed, you know, perspective and having like reserved beds, it doesn't seem like that's the most efficient. I mean, I get it, we get 20 beds, but what if we have 21 people and another set of people, you know, they have 20 beds and they only have 19. You know, it'd be easier to flex, you know, back and forth, saying, yes, we have 20 beds for 365 nights. If we don't use those beds, somebody ought to be using them, right? And same thing. If we need 22 beds for a couple of nights, we should be able to use those beds. So I don't know if there's a way that we can work that out, or if there's flexibility in the way that it's paid for, because I think you're doing a great job at 91% utilization, but I mean, those beds should be used.
Yeah, I think with that part though, thinking too, it is a 90-day program for people. So he does have a wait list all of the time, and it's just giving those folks that opportunity. If we had 7 days a week coverage too, if someone was exited on a weekend, we could fill that right away. If we open that up to have someone else in there, that's 90 days that he won't get to place someone in there. So he does, I mean, he usually gets them filled within a day or two of being notified that it's open. So that's that tricky part. Pinellas Hope, the funding is more for like, it goes toward operating some case management costs and things like that, where it's not the reserve bed. So it does allow us access, and it varies from week to week. So there are not reserved beds there for Largo. I think St. Pete may have some that they've added for reserve beds, but for the most part, those are open, and they get funding sources from various areas too. So we do kind of have that variety, but this one we've held to just as soon as he's got clients and they're ready to go, that he can place them in there and not have to wait for another opening.
It's really hard because, you know, with the female beds, we only have 4. So if somebody's been waiting 5 months for their opportunity, I don't want to bypass them. I want to give them the opportunity. So that could take a day for them to get back to me. And then it could take a day for me to work with the HEP coordinator to make an intake date for the next day. And then I meet them there all the time, every time, and we transition them in.
Sure.
So it's a process where they feel comfortable. And I think with the way that it's being done, it's a soft landing. It's not, here you go, fill out the paperwork. It's kind of like we try to make it so it's like they feel secure and safe. So they transition to the program properly instead of a lot of programs I've worked in or worked around. They'll just say, here's your paper, fill that out. We'll see you in a minute. This doesn't have that feel. This is a very nurturing intake. So it takes time. It's not always like boom, one day. That's the barrier. And I don't want to, that lady could be waiting for 5 months. I don't want her to lose that opportunity she's been waiting on and calling me weekly to see if there's an opening. So it's kind of that.
We have someone in PAR or a substance abuse shelter too, or program, sorry, not shelter. And then we want to get them from that program to HEP. And we might know they exit on a Thursday from, you know, the rehabilitation center, and maybe we've had an open bed since Monday, but we don't want that person on the street, right, and waiting for the next bed. So we might hold that bed for 4 days so that person can get immediately transitioned, right? So that's why you're at 91%. But if we didn't have that lag time, I think we wouldn't have as much success either, right? If that makes sense.
Totally agree. And so I understand you seem to be pretty creative. So my question is to you, if Todd was king for the day, what, like, within reason, what would you change? What would you ask for?
I would just love to see, you know, I don't look at the big grandioso. I'd just like to keep the system where we're at. We're having great numbers, great successes, great programs, services. We're very collaborative. I have good relationships with all of the organizations, so that helps me get people in, you know. So, you know, sometimes. So if you work on that premise, we have a good, effective program. You know, of course, I'd like to see it grow, wouldn't you? But if we could keep status quo, you know, we're impacting a lot of lives and impacting the community because you don't have folks out on the corners. Or, you know, we look at little numbers that I've seen where the number of folks getting pedestrians getting hit by motor vehicles is way down. Why is that? Because they're not out panhandling, they're not on the corners, they're not getting in, you know, into that dangerous situation. We're getting people into programs. So
I don't have the numbers for 2025, but I can tell you 2024, I can provide that to you. Our numbers were way down in pedestrian and bicycle fatalities, and regular accidents as well, like 30 to 40% down across the board for those type of crashes. So amazing difference. I wish I'd put that slide in here. We talked about this about an hour ago, and we were kind of doing a pre-meeting meeting. And I'm like, oh man, I don't have the 2025 numbers out yet, but 2024 was awesome to see that decrease. So.
You work with any of the churches?
yeah, Crossroads, we work with a bunch of different individuals or people that go to those churches and people there in processions.
See, once upon a time, what you're doing right here, that was all done by the churches. And that's where Salvation Army, that's where they got started, was doing all this stuff. Then the compassion of government got involved, and that's when all these programs took off like that. But it used to be all, when I was a wee lad, which was right after dirt was invented, this, you know, the church we were going to, we used to go down to the rescue missions. You know, and as a kid, it scared the hell out of me. You know, you're sitting there, a bunch of winos in that place, stunk to beat the band, but you know, if they wanted that bowl of soup that night, they had to sit there and listen to the minister. And that's how they got the stuff going. And I guess they had some type of success with it.
Yeah, there are numerous churches that we work with, and some that have a food pantry and that, you know, we refer people to, and it's a great program. But there's a saying that one of our outreach officers came up with, and he said, when the compassionate lose their compassion, you know, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And when some of our churches are asking for trespass warning affidavits because they they've lost their compassion when their grounds are destroyed overnight and stuff like that, that they, you know, that's when those programs got
I know
disbanded.
when they had to move stuff from Safe Harbor over to St. Catharines, people down Brookside, they just raised hell about it. I don't know anybody who lives down Brookside.
Yeah, Chris.
I know in 2022 and 23, you know, I was originally running for a city commission. I was talking to businesses a lot. And it was probably a third of the people I talked to actually talked about homelessness as a major issue. And I'd say a third of my emails I got my first year as city commission were about homelessness issues. And I can say that's not the case anymore. So I can say by any measurement from my seat, this has been a success. You know, so I just congratulate. This is a plan I know that was long thought and discussed and took a lot of buy-in to enact. But I mean, I can only tell you the success, you know, from everything I see, is really, really 5 stars, really good. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, I think this is one of the best things we do, and certainly the ROI exceeds the cost by far. You know, I got a feeling based on the next presentation, there might be other programs that coming forward to us and saying, you know, they want priority next year, but, you know, this certainly would be very, very high on my list. Keep going.
Yeah, me too.
Same, I just did a little bit of math and the cost per night is ridiculous. It's like really, really, really low. I mean, to get somebody from 90-day program, is that right? So you're talking about under like around $400 total for the whole program. So it's like Commissioner DeBreeze just said, the return on investment is huge. And I'll agree with Commissioner Johnson as well. You know, before we had those 20 beds at HEP, the volume of calls that they got to me was way higher than it is in the last year and a half. And it's because of the work you guys are doing and because of the successful program that the folks are getting in. You can't get to all of them. You can't get through to all of them, but we're certainly making you guys are certainly making a huge impact. And frankly,
The
help.
feedback's been amazing, and people realizing that it's not as prevalent and out on the streets when they're driving, and they, you know, I think somebody asked me a couple of months ago, you know, did you guys outlaw panhandling? And I'm like, I think part of that, it was always outlawed, but it's you guys have definitely got it under control, and it's very obvious to the citizens in Largo, and you know, I reached out to you all a couple weeks ago, and it was like taken care of right away, and just got my little report prior to the meeting, and you guys are amazing. I'm behind it 100%.
I gotta add that the work that community development's doing on the other end, like helping keep housing affordable in Largo and helping with first-time home buyer and rent assistance and looking at things like accessory dwelling units so people can live a little cheaper and not charging them for extra trash can and that type of stuff if they're not using it anyways. So those steps they don't seem that big, but I think it's helping keep people from being in the position where Nut Brown's giving them a call on Saturday, you know, or the other way around as well. But yeah, so it's you have to kind of look at this from a systemic all ways, right? And yeah, I think we're doing good stuff.
How many calls have you gotten in the hour you've been here?
I didn't bring the phone with me. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I always go to Minneapolis and form a company up there.
Don't even get me
and just-
started.
Just tell them to send the money down.
So I guess our direction is try to get the money from wherever you can, but we'll help you out if you need it.
And that's kind of where I was, I'm a money person and budget person, so and this is the stuff I want to be able to hear. So, and when the citizens come and say that, you know, what services are we providing? There was, when I first got on this commission, many phone calls and emails about homelessness, and it has decreased. And working in a library and seeing and talking with our library staff, you know, they're there with y'all. Kind of, a lot of our staff are. So these are the kind of stories I want to be able to educate myself and myself So when these come up as a budget priority, I can support and stand behind. So the grace you guys do, it's hard to quantify in money. And my citizens, I try to tell them you might not see it all the way around. You only see the top side. And hearing these stories, I hope that gets out to them, and the grace of God shines light on them and understand that things cost lightly. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner, I think you make a great point. If I bring up my high utilizer, right, the story we discussed, 36 trespass warning, 25 arrests, 25 other charges, those are open containers, that kind of stuff. How many hours of a police officer's time dealt with that?
Yeah.
And you have to have 2 on scene to make an arrest. I mean, that's hours and hours, days, in fact. You know, that's a lot of money just dealing with one person. So,
Thank
you. And now he's building bridges, right? Or is that the other?
it's a different guy, but yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good questions.
Next, we'll be talking about a budget, which seems too far off, but it's not.
Are we still funding the police?
Oh, no.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commission. Today, we're here to discuss the fiscal year 27 budget financial update. The agenda for this presentation is to discuss the calendar for the proposed budget, the estimated versus actuals for the prior fiscal year, the proposed budget rate plan, the proposed budget revenue scenarios, and the next steps in the process. So the budget the budget calendar shown before you, you'll notice there's 3 specific new work sessions, this being the second of the 3. The next one scheduled in June. These are just the new items. The capital budget will still be brought to you in April. We also have the joint FAB meeting for the proposed annual budget before the max millage hearing, so you'll be able to go over the proposed budget prior to any kind of max millage hearings. And then tentatively scheduled for September 3rd is the first public hearing of the budget and the tax rate. All right, for the estimates versus actuals of each of the funds that we're going over today, we have the adopted budget compared to the estimated budget, and then the actuals for the year. These are draft numbers prior to the finalization of the audit. So in terms of general fund, revenues were up by 3% from the adopted budget, and expenditures were down by 3%. This did decrease or reduce the recurring structural imbalance that we discussed in last year's budget. So in the adopted budget, we had almost $9 million of use of fund balance, whereas we we're projecting with draft numbers to end up at 1.8 million. For the wastewater fund, revenue was up 2% and expenditures were down 5%.
Why is that?
Primarily in the wastewater fund, interest was a large portion of the revenue increase. The expenditure decrease was multi-year capital projects moving from the FY25 year to 26. So the rollover of those capital projects. Solid waste fund, revenues were up 21%. A large portion of this was the hurricane FEMA reimbursements. Expenditures were also up 22%, which was accommodated by the hurricane response budget amendment last summer. For the stormwater fund, revenues were up 4% and expenditures were down 20%. Actual revenue, so that 3.1 million figure on the revenues under expenditure in FY25 actuals, that 3.1 is also similar to wastewater, that multi-year capital project rollover from FY25 to 26. The construction services fund, revenue was up 42%, expenditures up 3%. The difference between the expenditure, the adopted expenditure and the actual expenditure was covered under the budget amendment last fall that covered customer service or consulting for customer service evaluation. Yes, sir.
On that, we budgeted negative because we are carrying too much fund balance in that. Is that why we budgeted negative? Because I know there's a limit to how much we can carry in fund balance on that based on permitting fees and how that is costed, right?
Yes. Generally speaking, the fund balance was, at the time of the FY25 adopted budget, the fund balance was showing structurally stable with the use of the $937,000 in use of fund balance.
We reduced our permit fees at least temporarily for a while. I don't know if those have kicked back up again now or not. I was just curious. You may not be ready to talk about that. I was just curious. When I noticed this in the slides when I was going over it yesterday, I saw that and I was wondering why we were budgeting $1 million under, and that's why we think, at least. Thank you.
Then with the West Bay Drive Community Redevelopment Agency Fund, revenues were up 2% and expenditures down 60%. And with
Can
that,
we go back to the moving of money around on, say, wastewater and stormwater? Do we know the amount of projects that we moved? Did we move that amount, or what was it close? Were we way over on our existing projects, and so we had to move the money? Why did we have to push the projects? Do we do it, I guess, because we didn't have enough money to fund it, or because they just weren't done through, project review, or what happened that these projects moved?
so these projects were moved primarily, they weren't necessarily moved because the funds were not going to be expended. They were moved forward along with the appropriation of those funds in order to complete those projects over a course of multiple years. With wastewater and stormwater, you have design, construction, multiple phases.
Right.
And in April, we will go over the full list of the projects that are within the capital budget. And if you'd like to see something prior to that, we can more than happy to.
I'd just like to know about what got pushed versus, it'd be nice to know how much of it that got pushed was just because we maybe went over on something else.
I was trying to figure out a way to ask that question too. But did we push $5 million for the projects to the next year, and we only have a $2.7 million surplus in revenue? So are we just kicking a negative can down the road, and it looks like we have a surplus? Or did we push $2.7 million worth of projects to next year, and we have the money to fund it?
So the funds shown here today will assist in additional capital funding in future years. So the funds that are associated with the projects will move forward. So what's in the adopted budget is new capital project expense. Primarily, that's what that is. Those funds do move forward through purchase order rollover each year, which the funds for those specific portions do actually move. So in terms of the wastewater fund, there's a much larger amount of capital projects out there that are funded through debt service specifically for this fund. That is
you don't see the revenue from those issuances are in prior years, and that carries forward in the fund balance. This figure right here is primarily just showing that when it comes to the amount of money that we have moving forward for this fund, we effectively came in at a relatively better place, or not relatively, much better place than the wastewater fund, where we were thinking we weren't going to use $98,000 of fund balance, where we were going to be gaining $98,000 worth of fund balance, where we're actually going to have 2.7 additional million in fund balance for future projects. A portion of that is wrapped up into the capital projects, but ultimately it is a positive sign from the adopted to the actuals that are shown.
I'd be curious to get that number, like what that was that got pushed forward, just so I have an idea in my brain of, did I just, kick a can down the road or defer spending that, we had budgeted for whatever reason we did it. I just like to know how that, like what that really looked like.
Yes, and in the capital improvement plan budget presentation for April, specifically whenever it comes to funds like wastewater and stormwater, a large portion of that discussion is going to be centered around what projects were previously funded, which ones are new, how that impacts the fund balance, what projects are effectively continuing to move forward within the funding portion.
So that's kind of like the presentation we had about the high costs, low demand, where we shifted things. Okay, all right.
Do you know what the budgeted revenue for 2026 is in the wastewater fund?
26. I would have to get back to you on, are you wanting the specific charges for
Just
service?
curious if our budgeted for the current year is 40,000, or is it something more conservative like 39.5? I mean,
We can get that number for you.
okay. And I wrote this same question down about the solid waste fund, because we know that our costs continue to go up, at least at the solid waste facility, because they put the millage rate up, or their tipping fees up every year.
Yeah.
So,
We'll get you the exact.
yeah, I mean, I can find them this afternoon.
For you.
So.
No, absolutely. We got it.
And one thing to take note, in the FY26 budget, there are additional issuance numbers in there as well. Not issuance, but rather other governmental revenues associated as well, such as grant proceeds and other things that we received over the last year.
For wastewater.
Yes, sir.
And I apologize, I know I have this information somewhere, but when was the last time the general fund didn't run a deficit? If you don't know, if you just get it to me afterwards, that's fine, but just, I know I have it somewhere too, but I just, I figure you might know off the top of your head.
Unfortunately, being here for this being my second budget here, historical knowledge wise.
Yeah, I just,
I have to get it back to you.
I know it's probably easily readily available, if you just email it to me, it'd be great.
Any other questions at this time on the estimate versus actual portion? With that, we will move to the rate plan first, the top 8 city commission. So the top 8 city commission priorities, these are the 8 priorities that came out of the budget retreat back during the fall. Primarily showing this for every single presentation that we do, including internal presentations with executive leadership team, with departments and everyone else, to make sure that everything that we do in the FY27 budget, that we are keeping these top 8 priorities in the back of our mind. I'm not planning on going through each individual 8 and reading those through, but more than happy to send this out and discuss, and we will also be discussing these in further work sessions as well. All right. For the proposed budget rate plan, As of right now, we are not proposing any changes in the current rate structure, especially with the utility rate study being underway that was passed in the last city commission meeting. We will continue to evaluate and make sure that we are taking a look at the expenses and the projections for future years. But at this point in time, we are sticking to the exact same rate structure that was presented in previous budget work sessions and meetings. All right. Revenue scenarios. This is what is shown before you are 3 specific scenarios that were requested of us last fiscal year in terms of property tax revenue growth. We have a 5% property tax revenue growth, 2%, and a 0%, along with the corresponding reduction amount necessary to effectively balance the general fund balance instability that we were discussing in last year's proposed budget. So for a 5%, that is $500,000. For a 2% growth in property tax revenue, that is $2 million. 0% growth, $3 million reduction. This equates to the percentage of total general fund expenditure on the right. So the 5% would be 0.4%, 1.6% for 2%, and 2.4% for 0% property tax growth. I know that's a lot of information.
Is the reason that 5% is calling for a 500,000 reduction because we base it on 7% in the past? Budget-wise, I know it's not actual, but budget-wise, we've assumed 7%?
That's was not our interpretation. The $500,000 shown here of the 5% property tax revenue growth is purely the reduction that would be necessary in order to keep operations stable at current.
And that would be balanced or assuming a deficit that we've been running? So really, to get, it might be more actually, right? If you want to get back to balanced.
Well, it would fix our fund balance structural instability. So by policy that was passed back many years ago and adopted in fiscal year 27 or 22, it would increase the fund balance by 1% each year. So effectively, it would be fixing that deficit.
But we're running, at least last year, $1.8 million deficit, right? If I read that right. So wouldn't, and that was with and I forget what percentage we assumed the growth and stuff like that. What we actually got from, we got like 5 point whatever it was from property values. So if we assumed 5% again, which is close to what it was last year, we would still probably run a deficit. Maybe. At least the math in my head says that, but I mean, it's okay. I'm trying to think that if we're running deficit and we didn't, and costs are gonna go up next year, we assume, just by nature of things. And then we have some built-in increases every year.
So the $500,000 that we're looking at is to reduce the recurring drawdown of fund balance. So any given budget year, you might have a structural imbalance. Maybe we have a higher year of capital projects. We're not really worried about 1 year.
Yeah, that's why I asked her about the
Our problem
history.
this last budget year is because we were running that recurring $2 million deficit, and it was driving the fund balance down. That's when we know we have a problem. So, and to answer your question previously, the last time we didn't have a general fund deficit, FY 23 and 24, the revenues came in higher than expenditures. We may have adopted a budget that had higher expenditures, but the actual revenue and expenditures were balanced in those years. So 2026, which is the year that we're in, it's the first year we were projecting this recurring deficit.
Okay. Which at 1.8 million is what percent of general fund balance? 2 to 3%.
Yeah.
So,
It's 1.5%.
We're about 1.5 based on that, yeah.
Right.
But, obviously, we don't want to run ongoing deficits. I know certain years are gonna have high costs and, whatever capital projects and stuff like that. That's just why I asked that about the timing
Right,
of
and
it, but.
the trick in all of this is, are we heading into an extended economic downturn?
Mhm.
I don't know if you know that, we don't necessarily know that,
no.
but, hopefully not. So we don't want to propose, we start at $3 million and make this huge draconian cut to our budget when maybe
Yeah.
we're not looking at a long-term cut.
So these numbers here to get it would be to make sure that we're not continuing to draw down the fund balance.
Right, we're
Okay.
trying to comply with that commission fund balance policy
To
that is.
grow fund
If
balance
you
by
have, if you
1%.
have to draw it down in 1 year, we're okay with that, but your plan needs to be that you grow it by 1% per year or something in that range.
Until we get to what, 15%?
20 is the target, yeah.
What are we at now? Do we know off the top?
Yes.
Projected to be at
It hasn't gone down this year.
Adopted budget was at, it's not right.
So 15 or 13. It's projected to be at 11 by 27.
It's a little different now because
I
of
don't think this is right.
expenditures.
No, and keeping in mind the Florida Doge Committee suggested that fund balances were too high and recommended 10%, which I don't think we would recommend at all,
Scary.
especially given
10% of wouldn't have survived COVID.
correct. Yeah, or the big storm.
The 26 budget was adopted at 17.8%. But then it was drawing down every year in our long-range financial plan.
17.6%.
17.8.
So as we're always chasing those moving revenue targets and the moving expenditure targets, as long as we're 15 to 20% fund balance, I think that's a really sweet spot to stay. But we're working at the margins on that with these numbers.
Yeah, so I appreciate this conservative look at 5%, and if revenues come in higher, then that 500,000 probably won't be that hard to reinstate into the budget. $3 million, I agree. That's pretty draconian and probably not necessary. I think we're going to have some growth, just not 7%.
And this is below the current year actual, which was at 5.8%.
Yep.
So the next slide, so revenue assumptions. Our current plan for fiscal year 27 budget is to plan for that 5% property tax revenue growth. This assumption does not include several cost factors that have not come in just yet that we will discuss in later work sessions, primarily factors such as public safety pension and, of course, property insurance. It also does not take into consideration any kind of revenue growth or revenue growth deviations from whenever we receive that final or that estimated and preliminary property tax valuation from the county property appraiser.
Nor anything that the state does to reduce our revenue.
Yeah, a lot of those options are pretty nuclear, so we're not going to be preparing for those at the moment until we have more solid information.
It would not affect us until the following fiscal year.
Sure.
All right. With that, the next steps, the joint City Commission and Finance Advisory Board Capital Improvement Program review work session is April 14th, followed by the Finance Advisory Board recommendation work session May 12th, and then the adoption hearing for the FY 27 through 31 Capital Improvement Program budget on May 19th. With that, are there any additional questions staff is available to answer?
I guess I'll ask. Knowing times kind of are getting tough and the state's even talking about it. I mean, even residents are flat out. I'm having ones when I walk or basically would support it tomorrow to remove our property tax. I know some cities that are starting to put brakes on things at the moment. What are we doing to put brakes on stuff, or are we even considering putting any brakes on anything? Hiring freezes or sign-offs, do you have to sign off on every position that comes before?
Well, I mean, this is the beginning of us tapping the brakes. And that's kind of what we're looking for some guidance here.
That's why I want to chime in a little bit now.
Yeah, so we're starting with, lowering the assumption to 5%, which is, looking at that $500,000 reduction. If you want us to hit the brakes harder, we're hitting those bigger numbers, and we're talking big program cuts to get to those reduced numbers for this current budget season. So that's kind of what we wanted to flesh out in this conversation. Is there a consensus and a commitment that we should look there, and that we'll start building a budget around those assumptions? And when we get to the end of the year, we're going to be looking, do we need to raise revenue, or are we going to stick with certain rates to get to that 5%? Because that's where we kind of were last year. We don't know what the appraisers' numbers come in at, but when we do, is there communication from us? Hey, we'll look at making sure that the millage rate meets a certain revenue objective, or do we want to continue to prepare for more cuts, regardless of what the revenue comes in at?
Commissioner Smith, to answer your question in terms of hiring specifically, when departments are experiencing vacancies, they do need to clear before they post through the assistant city manager that they report to make sure that that's not something we need to hold off on right now. So we're primarily looking at general fund positions that are non-public safety at this time.
Okay. So like things that we would be talking about if we went there, I'm using this because I know it a little bit more, is like library hours, stuff like that. If we had to do draconian cuts.
Draconian cuts, yeah,
Okay.
Services would be drastically reduced, yes. If we looked at some of those numbers from the state legislature, we receive a $15 million cut.
You wouldn't have a library.
A lot of things we would no longer have.
Yeah.
It would change the fabric of our community, unfortunately. Yes.
Gonna sell the library and lease it back.
That still wouldn't work.
So, and I think, and at least I support, and what I think John's looking for is, we're lowering our expectation for property tax growth, but they're also looking for a little bit of buy-in from us as far as we're planning for 5%. If we come in at 4.5%, we may still have to raise the millage rate. Are we comfortable with that?
No.
And I mean, to a certain extent, I'm comfortable with raising a millage rate if we have to plan for a $3 million cut. So do we want to stop doing a lot of the valuable resources and services that our citizens enjoy, or do we want to plan for a realistic 5%? Last year was 5.8%. Year before that was 7%, and it's been 7 to 9% for years. So I think 5% is pretty realistic. I'm comfortable with that.
I think it's conservative. I mean, it could come in slightly less than that this year, but I think it's very conservative.
Yeah. So I'm comfortable with making a commitment to consider raising millage rates if we don't hit 5%.
Yeah, I think that we should work on a budget at that 5%.
Yeah.
If we need to just have tough decisions in the future, we will, but I think that it's, like you said, it's a conservative number. It would have been way under anything that's happened in the last 5 years, but in 2008, we saw a couple flat years, right? So I don't think our housing market is anything like that. And there's a lot of other factors at play that affect, people are moving out of the state, moving into the state, so it's resetting homestead and save our homes, properties. Much of our growth recently has been in multifamily, which isn't affected by anything that the state does because they're not looking at multifamily, they're looking at homestead properties. So there's so many things at play here. And again, what percentage of our general fund I know we're talking about $500,000 difference at 5%, but the property taxes make up about 35%, 40%, ballpark of our general fund. There's a lot of cities that are in much, much worse position if this goes through. Some of the smaller communities, their general fund is made up 70% property taxes, and half of their homes are homesteaded. I don't think it's gonna be catastrophic. I think that planning on a 5% increase in revenue from property taxes is reasonable. And if we have to have a discussion because it's a little bit less or a little bit more, I think we can do that.
If I remember correctly, we were above the average last year, wasn't the county was at like 4, and the county growth was like 4 point whatever, and we came in higher. And so if anything, if we regress to the mean, we might be coming a little under, but we're not gonna come, I don't think it's gonna be terribly under 5%. It might hover right around there.
And the reason that we were under the average is because we didn't lose properties.
Yeah, right.
We lost very few properties. There weren't people scraping lots in Largo.
We were lucky.
Going from $1 million valuation down to $150,000 for a few years until they build a mansion on it, and then they get back.
I think they'll get that money back, yeah.
So that didn't happen to us as much, at least not on the same scale as many of the cities around us.
Yeah.
So that's why our growth was higher than most cities in this county.
Commissioner Johnson, did you have a question previously about revenues in one of the funds, wastewater?
Yeah, it was stormwater and wastewater, just how much we cut from the spending.
Like what we bumped forward, right?
Yeah, what we bumped from 25 to 26, if I get those, I'd just like to get those numbers.
I will note that the revenue in the wastewater fund is much higher this year because we are anticipating that $19 million grant/loan for the deep well injection, so they're $20 million higher revenue than a normal year.
So it's at 60-ish?
Yep.
It's wonderful.
All right, any questions? Thank you for mapping out the whole next 8 months of our lives. Appreciate it.
I do appreciate knowing about these things earlier and having the discussions earlier so that, we can give everyone can agree on the target, so we're not wasting effort and doing things twice, and I appreciate this opportunity to weigh in now.
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot less teeth gnashing to come September.
My only complaint is the April 14th date really stinks. Really, that's the only day we can pick on that one.
What else is going on in the middle of April?
Yeah, that's it. I'll make it work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See, board or committee reports, Ford Pinellas.
I got a meeting tomorrow. There wasn't much that happened at our last meeting of note, other than we hired a lobbyist because we're gonna have to figure out how to reorganize if we do this regional thing. The regional meeting is, I think, this Friday or next Friday. I'll be at that representing Largo for the regional PPO. So that's where we're combining basically Fort Pinellas with the Hillsborough and Pasco metropolitan planning organizations to make a regional one. The state wants us to do this. They're asking us to do this. They are this close to telling us to do it. But right now, I think, I think it looks like it's going to move forward. There are some resistances. So we're doing everything we can to be active, and it's a great organization for Largo. Largo, has traditionally done a fantastic job using Fort Pinellas's resources to help us, and so it's a great organization. I appreciate serving there. It's fantastic use of my time. So thank you.
Thank you. Continuum of Care.
We don't have a meeting this month, I'm sorry, I think it's the beginning of March.
Thank you, Suncoast League of Cities.
They had a call yesterday, I missed it because it was working, but I'll catch up on it tonight. And the get together is going to be on the February 20th, and I'm trying to get that date off to attend. So that's where they're just going to kind of do a round the robin of everything that's going on with the Suncoast and what's going on with Tallahassee. So I'll send it to Carson and get that to you.
Very good. PSTA.
If you remember back in October, they did a redesign of the route system, ran into a few hiccups. So they did a another redesign or an update, that took effect, February 1. Some of those routes did affect Largo, particularly on Clearwater Largo Road and Seminole. I can send Carson the graphic of what changed if you'd like and have it sent out to everybody, but there's a few things, but a lot of it was more south, but there were a few things that had to be changed in Largo.
Anything changed that would affect our recently moved bus stops?
No, it was more about the timing. There was one route that moved over a little bit from there was two going up Clearwater Largo Road. And if I remember correctly, one of them was moved to turn and get over to Seminole, instead of keep going up alternate 19. So that was the major change in Largo.
Thank you. Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, they gave me a whole meeting recap. I'm gonna read it. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. But the council approved a 3-year agreement for AccuFund governmental accounting software. They've been on QuickBooks Online for a long time, so they're modernizing their financial systems. They just released a request for proposals for the development of a project evaluation matrix for the Tampa Bay Coastal Master Plan, and it's supported by nearly $2 million grant funding. The plan is. And then there was presentations including an update on regional economic development activities and the comprehensive economic development strategy. And also a legislative update highlighting state bills relevant to regional planning councils and local member governments. That was a much discussed topic. And that's all I had. Oh, other than the resilience symposium is in May, the middle of May. I encourage you to attend. There's going to be some really good panels, including some people from Tampa Airport, the Port Manatee, the Port of Tampa, talking about resilience for the region. So things like storms, things like storm water, and water quality, that type of stuff, potable water. So it's in May, it's a Thursday and a Friday. But if you have questions about it.
Do they post any of that online that we can watch meetings? Do they have any of these meetings, like, or they?
So they don't. They streamed during COVID, but it's in person. Yeah, I know we have a couple people from staff that attend and really get a lot out of it. I'll be down there because I'm on the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. But it's just over the bridge in Manatee County.
It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or something.
So just Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday all day, Friday ends after lunch. The lunch is the Future of the Region Awards. It's an awards luncheon, and then you're done.
Okay.
That's it. Let me see, Vice Mayor Johnson, anything today?
Yeah. I have a brand new grandbaby.
It's like every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know her middle name, I'm sorry to say, because there was the question whether it was going to be Ann or Lynn, I think, but Gabriella Soto is my new grandchild, so number 6. I'm very excited, and mommy's healthy and happy, and so's dad, so whatever. And grandpa's super happy.
Awesome.
That's all.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
Not really much other than to let residents know that next Monday, the 16th, it's President's Day, so a lot of facilities will be closed. Go on the city website or Facebook to look at the trash schedule. That kind of throws a curveball for some people that don't remember that President's Day is that day. So February 16th moves to a couple days, so just check that out. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Lauser.
Just a thank you to our homeless outreach team. That was awesome to see kind of their good news stories and see how passionate they all are. I look forward. I hope that we can find some grant funding, since we are looking to drop $500,000 out of the budget. Hopefully that we can find some money to pay for those HEP beds. So.
Thank you, Commissioner DeBreezy.
A few of us were at the Whataburger grand opening today. It was fun. I'm glad they're here. Glad they're back in Largo again. So stop by and eat.
Nice. Did they make some burgers for you?
They
They gave us little ones, not even sliders,
They
they were
had
like
little,
quarter.
little quarter burgers and chicken biscuit sandwiches. Everything was delicious. So,
We got pictures with the mascot, we're all set,
People
so.
from Texas love Whataburger. I've never had it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Isn't there another one like Thursday?
so this was their soft opening today.
It's Thursday's
Their grand
official.
opening is at Thursday at 11.
Okay.
Yep. Commissioner Hulk.
Just ditto, Commissioner Lauser, to our outreach program. It's amazing, great feedback, and, very proud of everything that they
Thank you. Commissioner Holmes.
This is from Senator Ashley Moody. Congratulations to my friend Sheriff Bob Galtieri for being sworn in as the president of the Major County Sheriffs of America. In Florida, we are proud of the hard work our men and women in uniform put in every single day to keep our citizens safe. With Sheriff Galtieri at the helm of the MCSA, our communities across the nation will be safer and more secure. Thank you, Senator Moody.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations, Bob.
Sheriff Galtieri, yeah, that's great. I have nothing to add this evening. Mr. Kerr.
I will be attending the Keep Pinellas Beautiful luncheon on Thursday, where they will be recognizing our very own Julian Perez for her work in the community. So it's a great recognition for her and for our city and our engagement with Keep Pinellas Beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you. Any action items?
And two things. A request by Vice Mayor Johnson for the amount of wastewater and stormwater projects that were moved forward, and a request by Mayor Brown for the budgeted revenue for fiscal year 2026 in the wastewater and solid waste funds.
That, you don't have to put that on there. I can look up the budget in 10 minutes. All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.